Hi everyone, I'm Shivani McComla, and welcome back to another episode of Beauty and Brains, a podcast for first girls about first girls. So today I have a guest, Cassandra Finlay, and she's a safety captain on her robotics team. So can I ask you to introduce yourself a little bit?
Hi, I'm Cassandra. I'm a part of LA Tech's 4955 robotics team based in Montreal, Lachine.
Okay. So my first question for you is what got you into STEM and how'd you find yourself in this position?
So I found robotics when I was in elementary. So the high school that's right next to my house was very big, very high end with the robotics team. So earlier on, I started in 2019. So earlier on, my cousin was on the team and he's like, "Oh, we're looking for a safety captain. Do you want to come and see what it's like?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So I've been a part of the team for a good 5, 6 years now.
Okay. And what does being a safety captain look like on a day-to-day basis and during practice?
So what my team does is we have robotics Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. So practically my safety is just making sure everyone as girls has their hair tied back when we're using power tools, like wearing safety glasses no matter what. Just like keeping a high end, like just keeping an overview of what everyone does just to make sure like no one gets hurt, no one does anything bad.
Okay. Yeah. And what are some of maybe the challenges that you face using being this can you give a few examples and maybe how you dealt with them too?
Challenges, I'd say it's more like competitions where like you have all of the higher safety mentors coming and asking you different questions that are not certain things you really look at while you're in your robotics room at school. But it all depends. Sometimes it's like there's major like critical events that could happen, like someone getting hurt with a power tool or someone just getting hurt in general. It all depends on the situation.
Okay. And what do you think makes somebody a strong leader, especially on a robotics team? What are some leadership skills that maybe your coaches or other people look for within you?
I find it's mainly communication and like being more compassionate on the team because like there's some kids that sit there, say they're a part of the team, but like with all due respect, don't do anything.
Yeah.
And more like communication, like you have to talk to like multiple people when you're at competition to get like strategy wise and everything else.
Yeah. So, with that, how do you find yourself trying to motivate the students who might not do as much as other people?
I try my best to motivate the kids, but we also have like grade eights to nines on our team this year. So it's like
Hmm.
it all depends who it is. There's some kids who have more compassionate than others, which by all means is absolutely amazing to have on our team. But like other than that, most of the not like really push them, but like show them more things to get them in the hang of doing this by themselves, not having someone always behind them in that.
Yeah. So, you also talked about communications when it comes to having a leadership role. How does that look like specifically, within a competition setting?
I'd find communication wise, so like with the alliances, when you're competing against the other three teams, the two teams you're stationed with, you have to have like a good communication with them to see like, oh, like this robot's gonna do this, this, and this. The other two are just gonna do this and this. That's mainly
Hmm.
where more the communication comes in
Okay.
on like the
And
field.
yeah. Okay. Like what advice would you like give to somebody who's like trying to get leadership within their team and just like in any department really? What advice would you give?
I'd say like first speak with your mentors, be like, is this like a good idea on what to do? Like, and suppose your like suggestion that you want to do, like what reason, like the main reason that brought my team so close is we did fundraisers outside of school. Like we did activities with our community. We've done in school activities that brought us more together. So it's like I'd say talk with the mentors at first and then propose it to like your the rest of the team so they have like a
Hmm.
better understanding on like they could trust you, they can like feel safe in robotics.
Yeah. So you mentioned about like being close with your team and doing, fundraisers and different events outside of your school. How do you think that like helped your team like develop? Like, do you think the fact that you guys have that kind of different type of relationship, did that help you guys succeed a little bit more?
It did because the grade eights and nines that we have this year and from last year were like somewhat shy at first, but once we started like doing these like activities like bowling and like all of our food drives that we do, they started to come around more and they started to feel like comfortable with the older kids, which made them more like involved in what the older ones do.
Hmm.
Because my team separates into two groups. We have Lego and then we have the senior robotics. So some of our Lego kids come and watch us at the competition, see what we do. So it makes them a bit more comfortable if they want to join in to senior robotics when they're a bit older.
Yeah, so like kind of that integration period of
Yeah.
like them starting to come in. Okay. Um, have you like what have you seen like within that integration period? What do you think like helps like that integration period get easy as like from a leadership standpoint? Like how are you like actively helping them integrate into the senior team?
It all depends because they're not used to using like hands-on heavy tools like our machinery and like our saws for anything else. So maybe just standing by them and like showing them like, oh, this is how it's done properly and safely to inquire like different steps to grow into it. But like from Lego robotics to senior robotics, we did like activities with them to get a hang of, oh, this is like what the actual robot is, this is how it works. We let them play around with it in like a spaced out area.
Yeah. Do you mind like sharing any of the activities that you think helped the most?
So we have four robots from our past competitions that we did tiny races against. So we let them use those four. And it's like we let them go around our like free space that we have, just like racing against each other. Like I wouldn't really say play fighting, but kind of play fighting with the robots.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And with that, like also like within a leadership role, like what do you think is the best way to deal with like, how like, seniors graduate and like with the seniors graduating, getting the new kids on the team, like what are some like challenges that you face with that area and like how do you think you fixed it like within your leadership role?
I find for the seniors that are graduating, a good chunk of us have come like back as mentors. So it's like you still see the kids, you still engage with them. But usually with like grade 11s leaving, it's up to the grade 10s to continue on with that mentoring, that leadership role. So it all depends who is like a part of the team who's able to take on the leadership role.
Okay, yeah. And like another question is like, how about like being specifically like a girl in first or like a woman in STEM? Like, has that ever become a problem for you? Or, and if it hasn't, like, how do you think your team has done a good job of like making sure that isn't happening?
The first competition I went to in 2019, my team was mainly all men.
Mm.
So it was like weird. At first, it's like, oh, I don't know if I'm ever gonna fit in with the team. I don't know like if this is what I want to do on like my spare time and as something after I graduate. But like after meeting two other teams that were stationed in the States that came to the Montreal competition, it was like, oh, there's other girls. May not feel as like left out, but there was a couple of Montreal teams that were like, oh, this isn't meant for girls. This isn't like meant for that. Like girls want to understand. So I did feel a bit left out. I did feel like a bit hurt because, oh, maybe it is for girls. You never know. So there wasn't many girls on my team until I started proceeding in years, and then some girls started to follow behind.
Okay, yeah. And how do you think that's like changed the environment of your team, or not just your team, but like robotics for you and other people in general?
I find it opened up a bit more of like eyes towards the girls because like most of our girls are new. So like letting them hear my story, how like it was weird at first, how it was difficult to be like on a team that was only guys, and then like going to the competition where it's like you're one in like 50. Mainly all of the competitions were guys at first, but then after joining, a bunch of girls started to join on and like follow along. So I find it's just like hearing other people's stories that changes like the perspective on how like robotics is like not only for guys, but it's also for like women as well.
Yeah, definitely. And like how should students deal with like unbalanced leadership or like situations like that are hard like to deal with when it comes to leadership like I said unbalanced leadership so like overpowering or maybe pushing, pushing new students aside like stuff like that.
So with us, our team tries to include everyone they most possibly could, but if there's one student in particular that's making it harder for like newer students to join or like different people to join in on activities or like certain things we do throughout our build season, I personally speak to them aside. I don't address it to everybody to single out that one student. But it has happened that there's been numerous students that make it hard for like our new kids to join, our new kids to fit in, and like making them a bit uncomfortable. So I speak to
Hmm.
them separately on like a one-on-one basis, along with one of my higher mentors. So the main mentor of our robotics group, and just being like, oh, like this isn't a place for only you. Like you have to let everyone else join. You have to make them feel welcome.
Yeah. Okay. And like with that, you kind of explained how the conversations would go. Can you like go into that a little bit more? Like maybe key points that you would hit like when speaking to that person that could help them change their actions?
So how I talk to the students that tend to single out other students, obviously you have to be respectful about it. You can't just be like, don't say this, don't well, you could say like, don't say this, it's not as like mature and respectful as you could think. But other than that, I'd say just like maybe finding other solutions, being like, oh, maybe we'll split it into two. The newer student that you don't really have a good connection with could start off on one activity and then like the student I'm talking to could go start off on another activity because we split our activities into four groups. So maybe
Okay.
like splitting them into two separate groups and then joining them into another group at a later point when everything is like resolved in that.
Okay. So, like, with that, like, kind of like splitting up work evenly with students, like, does that look like for your team? Splitting up like outreach versus mechanical, or, those like subdivisions, and making sure that everybody kind of gets a little bit of everything as much as they can.
So we have programming, then we have woodworking. So it's like bumpers, building all of the game pieces that we need to practice with, like electrical, pneumatics. So we split everyone three by three. Depends on how many kids we have each year. It goes three by three. So three in like pneumatics, three in programming, three in electrical, and so on and so forth. And then like after every hour we switch. So every kid gets to see a new section of the warehouse and then gets to learn something new from that day. And then after, when we're closing our robotics session, we all sit like together at our table and talk about like, oh, what we learned, what we didn't learn, what could we improve from the next session.
Okay. And how do you think like it's beneficial that like everybody gets a little bit of everything versus like each kid kind of stays in their own like spot and like what they do and like they're just like consistent in that way? How do you think like that change benefited your team?
So with the seniors, we're all assigned to one certain thing. So like I'm assigned to safety, I'm head of safety. I have two juniors with me, like just shadowing along to see like, oh, what it's like. Our head captain is in programming and building. So like the dry base part, she has three kids with her that shadow her just to see like, oh, this is what it's like building the robot throughout build season. And then when she sets back, those three kids go and like build the robot. They saw what she did, they know how to do it. So it's like practically shadowing throughout our whole session for each day.
Okay. So, that seemed to be like it like obviously worked and is helpful to your team. Um, so how many leadership positions do you have on your team, and how do you think like the way that your leadership positions are split up has like benefited your team?
So as a senior, I could say this alongside the captain as well, that how can I say this? That it's helped like a lot throughout the 2 years that our captain has been there. So how else can I say that? I find it's helped out like our mentors a lot, so they're not like always hands-on with our robot, hands-on with the students as much as they used to be. So like us taking part and helping them made it a lot easier and like made it more like suitable for the newer students, suitable for the kids that have been there for a couple of years who
Hmm.
aren't really comfortable with our head mentors at first. They tend to warm up to the kids that they see day to day from Monday to Friday.
Yeah,
And
so
like
what, sorry, continue.
and then like starting to warm up to the teachers.
Yeah. What like are your different leadership positions? Like how many do you have? Like what are they assigned to?
Um, I really want to say two, but I'm not too certain if there's more than two. I'd find
Okay.
it's safety and captain.
Okay. And like you talked about how you have kids who shadow each of the leaders. How do you think that has kind of helped with like the transition period during the time when seniors might be graduating or even just like when kids are like interested? Also like when it comes to selection of leadership roles, like how does that work for your team?
So when we start school in August, that's when we start to like talk about like, oh, who's going to be captain, who's going to do this role, and this role. Me and the head captain from last year, who's still the captain this year, sat down with our main mentors and spoke like, oh, we're going to see once like December comes around, how many students we're going to have, and then we're going to like assign just for the first 2 weeks, two to three like newer students to the seniors so they could like get to know them a bit better, get to like be comfortable around them so the kids aren't as worried. Having them like show them around and like get to know them a lot more. And then it would switch. So like I'd have two grade nines with me at the start of the year. I have two different grade nines this year, like right now.
Yeah. Okay. And like again, like um do you think like there's like maybe a better like how this benefited your team and if there's cons for the way that it's affected your team, like what do you think you could do to fix that and make it as best as it could be?
There is a bunch of cons to like different things. I'd say sometimes there's a lack of like communication between some students who like were there one day and then couldn't attend our next session the other. So I find that's one of the cons where it's a bit of like lacking. Other than that, I find most of our like leadership and like communication roles are pretty suitable that not much has happened recently.
That's yeah. And like with that communication, like have you like brainstormed any ways to fix it or like could you think of like any solutions to that problem?
The one solution I came up with is like we have a log sheet online to see like, oh, this group finished this like this first session, the other group finished this in the first session, and it goes like session by session.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, like programming, finished programming, like this, and this to make the robot like move and pick up stuff. So like that would be programming section. And then like woodworking, it would be like, oh, um, building the structures for the game pieces this year so we could practice. That's their section. It's just like a Google Doc on like who finished what so we don't get confused on the next session.
Yeah.
That's what fixed the miscommunication.
Okay. So we are coming to a little bit of the end of the time. I just wanted to thank you for your time for coming in today. And I think that this like advice and like what's going on with your team can help many teams who are starting in leadership and like trying to decide those roles and stuff like that. And it was really nice to meet you. And for the viewers, thank you for listening to today's episode of Beauty and Brains. And I'd love to see you in the next episode. Thank you.